Yeah, are you happy just to introduce yourself to colleagues who perhaps might not know you, and then we can just make a start? Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Adrian. So I'm Mark Stevenson, and I'm the Young People's Lead for Active Lancashire. And I also work for, as part of my shared role, I work alongside Together Active Future as well on some of those children people work and place work as well. So Adrian's just invited me along today just to give an update on all things that's happening with the Future of the School Sport Partnership networks nationally. Mainly because there's quite a bit of sort of rumours, hearsay, and things out in the network which aren't necessarily true or haven't been confirmed yet. So we just wanted to put everyone on the same page, really, of these are the facts that we know around the Future of the School Sport networks. And this is what we're kind of trying to put in place in anticipation of things that may be coming up in terms of announcements and things. So we thought it would just be really useful to share this, just so everyone's up to speed in terms of the known knowns, so to speak, really. So I'm just going to talk you through what we do know and what's been announced, and give a bit of context to what that means for Lancashire and some of the work that we've been doing in the background just to prepare us as Lancashire for what might be coming in the future. So to start with, I know there's a number of people on the call today who are heavily involved in the school sports work and school sport network, so hopefully they'll be able to feed in as well. But essentially, back in June of this year, Keir Starmer announced a big announcement on the eve of the Women's Euros that these new school sport partnership networks are going to be established across the country, and it's just with the emphasis on what they've kind of sort of showcased in terms of the key bullet points on what these school sport networks are going to do. It does feel a bit sort of old school to a degree, or traditional to a degree as well. So just to read or look through them, the announcement included that it was around reintegrating PE, sport and physical activity into both curricular and extracurricular provision, making sure that there's a universal opportunity or access for all pupils within schools. And then there'll be a really strong emphasis on the sort of raising the quality and standards of PE and school sports and physical activity across all educational settings. And then there was a plan around just providing everybody with all children with that high quality opportunity, with a focus on inclusion and equity, as you'd expect, really. So the sort of the terminology that they're using is around PE, sport, physical activity. A lot of it was around working with pathways into community, working with national governing bodies. So it felt at least very much like, for those of us who are who have been in the sort of sector for a while, that the old school sport partnerships prior to the school games and the competition network that were set up a number of years ago, really. So all we've known and confirmed is that this announcement was made in June, with the idea that this ambitious idea that school sport networks will start to be established from September 2026. And there's a formal tender process going out to recruit a national organisation or a national partnership of organisations who will facilitate and manage the framework of establishing them school sport networks. So all we know at the minute around that is that the government has put an open call out for a tender process, which was promoted and advertised right across the country. And that is for about £15 million. And that would be for a national lead organisation whose responsibility it will be to almost facilitate and manage the establishment of them school sport partnership networks across England. With the rule of thumb idea being that, say for Lancashire, across all 14 districts as they currently stand, there will be some form of school sport network which will be there to strategically support the schools within their area to establish high quality PE, school sport opportunities, physical activity with a focus around tackling inequalities. And the idea being that, roughly speaking, a school sport partnership or a network would be roughly between 30 to 40 schools as an expectation. Now, one of the key things around that, especially with Lancashire, just to bring people up to speed in terms of how it currently looks in Lancashire, it's very different across the 14 districts. It's not kind of a universal sort of network in terms of a school sport partnership offer. It's universal in terms of a school games offer, because that's what they're funded to do. We've got school sport partnerships in each area. We've got 2 in Lancaster, because they're built on an old sports college model of school games organisers. There's one school games organiser who covers Fylde and Wyres boroughs, and there's one school games organiser who covers Ribble Valley and Hyndburn as one area. So it's quite sporadic and different in terms of what the landscape looks like across Lancashire. And some are very well established school sport partnerships in terms of them districts. So if you think of the likes of Chorley, they actually deploy quite a number of coaches and people as part of the school sport partnership, probably about 15 to 20. So they're very well established as a school sport partnership, as are areas like West Lancashire, as are places like Blackpool and McCall, and as are places like Burnley. But on the other end of the spectrum, we've got literally school games organisers, or a school sport partnership, which just is the school games organiser, one person funded by Sport England to deliver school games over a 3-day week period. So the hope is with these new school sport networks, we'll be able to raise the profile across each locality, so that they all have a universal offer, a universal approach, and have a more of a strategic sort of lead to really coordinate that. Because at the minute, school sport partnerships have been almost left to do it for themselves, and they've just created, as you would with things like school sport premium, they've created different levels of offers, different size of teams and things. So it's just a bit sporadic across the county. Now, at the present, the school games, there's been a school games review over 2024 and 25, which has looked at several potential delivery models. They're all still under consideration. So at present, we don't know what the future of the school games organising network is. All that we know is that the school games organising network has had funding committed till July 26. And as I think Dave's on the call, and Dave can back this up on this, the school games organising network has been working on a year-on-year contract with Sport England for a number of years. So it's been very uncertain for the past at least 4 or 5 years. The original agreement was that the original contract was until April 26, and then they've had an extension from July 26 because they thought it'd be common sense to at least expanded towards the end of the academic year, even though it's not the end of the academic year. It runs up to August 26 if you're working on the contract model as well. So the school games organising network, which is embedded as part of the school sport partnerships in some areas and is the only offer in others, have been working on these short-term plans because they've had no long-term commitment. So it's just worth highlighting that for you all as well. So as I say, a national delivery partner will be established from April 26 as part of the tender process. And there are partnerships being established nationally, such as the Active Partnership Network, who we are part of, Youth Sport Trust and the Association for PE. They've been exploring the potential of a collaborative bid for that national tender for that 15 million to have a really robust sort of local network to facilitate those local discussions and local setup of partnerships, but also that national sort of reach, and also the quality assurance around the Association for PE, around high quality PE. They are just being explored at the minute. There's nothing definite or concrete. They're just being explored. So just to confirm that. And in addition, this is where a lot of the rumours are starting to rumble, but we're just going to state what the facts are at the minute. Is schools over the last sort of 15 or so years have received the PE and school sport premium, which was doubled about halfway through. So schools currently receive between £16,000 and £18,000 to develop and provide opportunities around physical education, school sports, physical activity and play. All we know at the minute is that is under review through by the DFE. We haven't had anything confirmed around anything or what's happened with that resource. We just know there's a massive resource there which goes to every school and it's under review. So just as a again, just these are the known knowns, and there's a lot of unknown things at the minute. So we know that school games network is currently funded till 2026. We know that the PE and School Sport Premium is under review, and we know that there is going to be some new established school sport networks which will be established across the country from September 2026. So they're the facts. And what we're trying to get the network to do with the school games organising network and partners through Lancashire County Council is they are the facts, and there's nothing in between, because we've just heard so many rumours around what's happening, which is just causing a bit of unrest with people and partners as well. So we're trying to get obviously the whole sport network up to the same speed and giving the same message. Now, in terms of what we're trying to do as Active Lancashire and with other partners as well, we're just trying to get things prepared from a partnership level across Lancashire. So whatever does land in terms of what the future of school sport partnerships are, we're in the best place to do what's best for Lancashire and do best for the schools and do best for the partnership. So at present, we've just got at Active Lancs, we've got board level representation of children and young people through Roger Davis, who's from the FA, who has a wider national remit around children and young people through the FA. So he's almost like our sort of board advisor from Active Lancashire perspective. And we've also established a bit of a working group with partners within Lancashire County Council and through the School Games Organising Network as well. So we've got Jess Squires from Lancashire County Council, who's the PE advisor, but she's also the Northwest representative for the Association of PE. We've got Gemma Stokes, who is the Youth Sport Trust development coach for the region. And also we've got Amy Lund, who we're looking to engage as part of the Youth Sport Trust lead for the North. We've got ourselves as Active Lancashire. And we've got some support that's coming our way through Lancashire County Council through the public health. We're just going to identify the right person through the public health team as well. But just as a network, as a group, what we want to do is whatever lands, whether it's something that lands with a local authority, whether it lands with Active Lancashire, whether it lands wherever else, we've got a really good sort of partnership in place to work together to make sure that we do what's best. So that's just as a group, we're just there at the minute. Again, just committing to what we can, but as soon as more concrete guidance, more concrete updates in terms of what happens to the future, that's where we're hoping to sort of get some sort of support for wider Lancashire to help develop them, the framework and the rollout across Lancashire. And at that point, we will look to invite other people who need to be in that group as well to make sure it lands the best way possible. So, like I said, what we've kind of said is communication. This is where it's a bit of play out to partners on the call as well, who do potentially, have that direct link and work with schools or the school sport partnership or the school games organiser. It's just to keep these as the messages that we've just mentioned then, and that everything else is unknown. I mean, we've had examples of where I think a local a primary school bursar emailed the rest of the bursars across her patch explaining that such a thing's being removed and you're going to have to make redundancies. And it just caused panic and worry and lots of emails and messages and calls from people to people, really. So what we're trying to do, like I say, let's just try and keep things strictly factual until we know the other information is confirmed. So in terms of updates, that's it. What we don't want to do is, like I say, just starting to say these are the things that could happen, because it's just not helpful, really. So a lot of this stuff at the minute is almost for those old enough to watch Fawlty Towers is the Manuel sort of I know nothing response to anyone who's asking us some intricate questions. So I hope that's helpful to bring you up to speed, because again, a lot of you will work and be supported and work alongside your local school games organiser or school sport partnership. But it's just open to any questions that I may be able to answer without going down the guest route. So I'm open to questions, but I've seen one that's Natalie asked as well. That's on the chat. So in terms of timescales, and again, I'm not quite sure what will happen through LGR, but the timescales from a national perspective is the national tender process is under consideration at the moment and will be hopefully completed by the end of November, with the national host organisation or host partnership starting from April 26, with the with the ask of getting school sport partnership networks established or start to be established from September 26. Now, Adrian may know more around how that potentially connects with LGR, but I'm guessing at present we just don't know that information.
So, Mark, thank you for that update. And just to reassure people, where you've got that information from is through the Active Partnership Network, where you're the CYP lead for Lancashire, but you're also in close communication with the Sport England CYP team as well, aren't you? So you've been able to triangulate that information. So it's not speculation, as you say. And I think it is fair just to reiterate the point that you've just made about there's a lot of anxiety across the network, isn't it? The school games organisers specifically are very anxious about where their future's going to be as part of this new network model. And really, they've been hanging on, haven't they, for a couple of years for this review. So, you know, we have to be sensitive to them. I just wanted to reiterate that this review of the school games organisers and the PE and sport premium, it's also linked with the wider government review of CYP services. So there's a national youth strategy, and I hope people might be aware of that. So there's oh, where's that noise coming from? Oh, there it is. Sorry, it's you, Mark. It's okay. So there's a national youth strategy review. You've seen 145 million go into youth programs, 45 million into that Better Youth Spaces Fund. There's going to be a further 88 million around extracurricular and community access. There's the youth guarantee for the 18 to 21-year-olds. So there's a whole range of opportunities that are coming through for children and young people. And so I know that this conversation is joined up with those that wider review of provision for CYP, both inside and outside of curriculum time. Just before I go to Michael, Mark, could you just confirm, in terms of the school sport network, that would be one wider network for Lancashire, wouldn't it? There's no, just going back to the point which Natalie made earlier on, in terms of LGR, there's no current view about linking this to districts or any form of unitary or upper tier authority status. I've not had any conversations around that. I just want you to confirm that, Mark.
No, that's right. Yeah, I know as much of that, Adrian. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is purely on the on a sub-regional network. Just to be clear on that, and the school sport premium review. The view on that will also be taken at the same time, we understand, as the review of the school sport network. So the two things are going to be hand in hand, and they're not going to be separated out. And I'm just saying that because that affects and impacts obviously on school budgets, doesn't it, and budget planning at the same time. So thank you for that update, Mark. So I'll just go, we've got three hands up. So I'll just start off with Michael. Over to you. Thank you, Michael.
All right, thanks, Adrian. Thanks, Mark. I think a bit of a two-parter, if you don't mind, Mark. I think one of the things you said earlier in your update was about this being a traditional approach. And I was just wondering if there was any knowledge as to whether this is kind of a politically or ideologically driven vision from a minister or group of ministers, or if this is anything that is kind of a Adrian's nodding his head. I guess the answer's been given away here, but or if it's you know, something that has been fed back from PE teachers or wider people at the network, that sport is going to be more prevalent. And then the second part of it, I guess, is, and you did touch on it, and apologies, I've just kind of forgotten what you said about the difference between, or the balance between, sport and physical activity under that new plan, please.
Sorry, Michael, could you just repeat that last bit again? It just broke up when you're asking that.
Yeah, sorry. So the second part was just about, you might have mentioned this, and I think I could have forgotten something, but the balance between promotion of sport versus promotion of physical activity in this new strategy.
Yeah, again, we don't know too much about it. It's just I mean, from the announcement, which is a national general announcement, that they made back in June 25. It was, when I said traditional in its sense, it was around high quality physical education, sport, national governing bodies, club links, which are kind of the things that we talked about traditionally when we looked at school sport partnerships. In more recent years, we've more talked about, like I said, play, physical activity, active well-being have been the things that we've kind of talked about as partners and as a sector. I think some of it just because it's from a national perspective and a national sort of announcement. They're the key hooks, aren't they? Sport, physical activity clubs, national governing bodies. So I think it's going to be a cross section of everything, with more around the physical activity and the active well-being, probably more focused around the more targeted approach, because the likelihood is it'll be like a universal offer around sport, physical education, high quality opportunities, with that place opportunity around what's really needed within your area, because they'll be the differing things. So that's where you'll get that, probably that more targeted, equitable equity sort of laden approach around active well-being, physical activity to support those young people, those schools who may struggle because they've got all other sort of complex sort of things that they need to be looking at as well. So yeah, I think it'd be a mix of both, but it comes through in the guidance, this more terminology around sport, PE, club links, which I mean, if we're honest, it's something that's been missing a bit of our vocabulary for a while, to some degree, really. But yeah, too early to tell into too much detail, Michael. But yeah, it's just interesting that stuff has been the prevalent stuff when in recent years it hasn't, has it really, to some degree.
That's great. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Michael. And just from my point of view, there's a real focus, isn't there, Mark, on skills and high quality provision as well. So I think, just going back to your earlier point, Michael, political motivation, I think there was a recognition that the quality wasn't always there, and the schools weren't necessarily investing, particularly the school sport premium, into quality provision. So I think those are the areas that they're really going to tighten up on, quality and having the skills within the school. Thank you. Jennifer, thank you.
Well, just a quick one, just to say thanks, Mark, very much. For both South Ribble and Chorley, there's quite a number of staff who are employed because of the school sports premium, and there's been such a lot of rumours going around, and staff are very, very upset about it. And, you know, I mean, it's people's livelihoods, isn't it? And just to get some reassurance to say, actually, nothing's been decided, and the message is, we know nothing at the moment. And I think that's what we need to do, and get that message out through our partnerships, because there is quite a lot of really, really challenging rumours going around. And I can feel like now I've got the message to go back and say, look, nothing's gone on at the moment. We're in there having those conversations, but at the moment there's nothing to report. So thanks.
Oh, well, no problem, Jennifer. And what I'll do, Jennifer, I'll just attach onto this message chat as well. I've just done a briefing document with just some key bullet points, which I'll share, just so you can share that as well. I'll attach that to this call.
Thanks, Jennifer. And you're absolutely right to say we've got to do a lot to reassure those networks, haven't we? There is going to be a period of transition, very clearly, but it's critical that we maintain momentum, within the schools. There's a lot of provision running through those school games organisers and their networks, and we don't want them to lose momentum. So you're absolutely right. Thank you for supporting them on the ground. Carol, thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Just wondering, obviously in Fylde and Wyre we have one school games organiser, Lee Cadwallader, but he covers a lot of schools. So when you said it might be looking more like 30 to 40 schools, there's 52 schools in Wyre. So do you think it's likely, and you may not be able to answer this, but is it likely that we will get sort of 2 posts possibly to cover the patch in Fylde and Wyre? And then sort of secondly, do you think there used to be, I've been around long enough to know, there used to be primary school sort of link teachers that had time specifically to develop school sport. Do you think that role will come back, or don't you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions we can't answer, sadly, Carol. But I think one thing that again, without not, again, the unknowns are quite high here. But I think what we're just going to commit to, or what we'll be committed to, is to make sure that along the school sport network, there's almost like an equitable sort of offer in terms of how schools are part of each local partnership. That the strategic lead having that support of each other, because at the minute, like you said, it's just a total it's not equal across the patch. Like you said, Lee's got 50 odd schools to support and does his best he can on a small team, but then you've got other areas who have in one district have two resource for two Lees, if that's for want of a better term. So the hope of this school sport network is just to make sure that there's a universal offer, a universal approach that is there to support schools. So it's not done where one school sport lead is having to support hundreds of schools and then another isn't. It's going to be designed hopefully to help alleviate some of that issue, really. And in terms of the primary links, again, we just don't know. All we're aware of at the minute in terms of resource is the amount of funding that's going into the national tender, and that's for the national partners to establish the school sport networks. There's not even been an announcement in terms of what resource sits under that, in terms of what resource is going locally. So all of that, again, it isn't going to come out until at least end of November, I'm guessing, after the budget.
Yeah, thanks for that, Carol. So, Mark, you just mentioned there about the spending review and the autumn budget, haven't you? And we're anticipating that there will be some reference to this in November in terms of that headline commitment. And as you say, that's going to kick off that tender process, and then we'll find out about that in the new calendar year. In the interim, we, as Active Lancashire, as you mentioned earlier on about Roger Davis from the FA, who's part of the Active Lancashire board, we are committing to developing a steering group if required, just to support partners to come together and manage that transition and just provide some oversight. So at the moment, Lancashire County Council's involved in that. But at this moment in time, we haven't got anybody from Blackburn and Blackpool. So Laura, might be useful to touch base with you at some point, and with Richard Brown as well. I was speaking to Richard last week, and I know you speak to him very regularly, Mark, just so we can get that sorted. But there will be partners who can support physical activity, PE within schools, and obviously that skills conversation as well. And we will have representation from the SGOs as part of that steering group, so that network's connected. And I think, Mark, that's about it, really, isn't it? But you know, as Jennifer said, it's really about supporting the networks on the ground, just to remain as stable as possible during this period when there's a high degree of uncertainty. And if people do have concerns, just to make you aware that Mark's part of that national conversation, and we will be able to feed in. If any of the partners, whether they're AFP or active partnerships or Sport England, that get any further news or are positioning themselves to be part of that national tender, we will make you aware of that as well, so that you're connected across to what we're trying to achieve for Lancashire. Okay. Mark, any further comments, or is that it?
No, that's good. What I'll do, Adrian, I'll share that briefing document with you so you can share out to CPAN. I just can't quite see where I can attach on this meeting chat. So if I send it to you, Adrian, are you right to share that out with people?
I'll do that. I'll make sure that goes out, and presumably you welcome that being shared with other partners as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, colleagues. That's the end of this CPAN session that we've got arranged next month, and I do apologise because of holidays and various people being away. We've got slightly out of sync, but next month we've got Danny Halsall, who's coming from SIMSPA, and that's the Sport and Physical Activity Leadership Body for Skills. Now she's going to be talking through the findings and the recommendations for the skills development strategy for Lancashire, which will feed into things like skills boot camps, if you're familiar with that, and the opportunities to train up staff. So we want to get some feedback from you on that draft. And then the other thing is, as Active Lancashire, we've been working with Sport England, and there's an agreement with the backing of the Lancashire Combined Authority that we can actually launch a consultation with partners to understand how they may wish to see sport, physical activity, and the capital assets associated with physical activity as part of the LGR and DEVO conversations. So we're really looking forward just to having a conversation with you about that at the next session, and that will be on the 10th of November. Okay. So I'll send further information about that well in advance. It will be better organised, and unless anybody's got any further comments, I'll leave you with 25 minutes of your life back. Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
Thanks, Adrian.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Adrian.
Bye. Bye.